Hey there, welcome to Psycho with Six Homeschool Sanity. My name is Melanie Wilson. I was a Christian psychologist before God called me to homeschool what became six children. Today, I am joined by Debra Bell. We're going to be talking about all things homeschool planning and helping you find sanity in the process. Here is what we are giving away today. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. The ultimate homeschool planner. We're going to be giving away 3 copies of this amazing planner that I'm going to be giving you an inside peek at in a bit. So how can you win this planner? Comment, share the broadcast, tag someone that you know would be interested in this. And if you are going to go ahead and share this broadcast, which we want you to, your homeschooling friends are going to want to hear this. Please comment and tell me that you have commented, and that will give you double entries into the giveaway. But before we take a closer look at this planner, I want to tell you more about my guest today, Debra Bell. If you haven't heard of her, I would be surprised if you haven't. But if you have not, she is the author of The Ultimate Guide to Homeschooling, The Ultimate Guide to Homeschooling Teens, and The Ultimate Homeschool Planner that we are going to be taking a look at today. And I have to stop and tell you something super, super exciting about this planner. If you just can't wait and you want to use this code, use the code SANITY to save 25% off Apologia's planners this week until Tuesday when I announce the winner. 25% off, that is huge. So head over to Apologia, wait until the broadcast is over, but head over to Apologia, use the code SANITY and save 25% on your purchase of the planners. You're going to want them all when I'm done sharing with you. Okay. Debra is also the author of Writers in Residence and Readers in Residence. And if you join me at the end of the month, you're going to get a peek at those amazing books as well. Debra was a former high school and college English instructor. She had 4 kids that she homeschooled all the way through high school. She also has, and she is actually officially Dr. Debra Bell because she has a PhD in educational psychology. Debra has started 3 co-ops. She started an academy. There is so much that I could talk with her about today, but we're going to be focusing in on homeschool planning. So Debra, thank you so much for taking time out of your still very busy schedule. Even though your kids are graduated, you're very busy, aren't you?
Yes, I found some things to do, Melanie, but I'm glad to be here today with you and your guests.
Well, that is wonderful. Well, I am most interested in asking you on behalf of newer homeschoolers. The most daunting thing about homeschooling is just creating a plan to get started. So what would you tell, and I know that you already talk with brand new homeschoolers, what do you tell them? How do I take this enormous task of planning my homeschooling year, my first homeschooling year, and just get started?
First of all, I like to lower the stakes here for beginning homeschoolers. The way you homeschool your first year is all about finding out what doesn't work. And nobody ever does it the way they did it the first year over again. And you need to know kids are very resilient. So I want homeschool moms who are just starting out to realize you've got a lot of freedom here. It's a process. Kids are flexible. They're resilient. Tell them to pray for you as you figure it out. Secondly, I'd say create a rut to depart from. Routines don't only give us some structure, they also lower our stress level. So creating a simple plan, then being flexible to depart from it as opportunities come our way, teachable moments. But that'll give you some security. So you're not every single day getting up thinking, what am I going to do today? What am I going to do today? So one of the things I like to do was have a planning break every week. And I went to the library on Sunday afternoons. My husband would watch the kids. And that's when I kind of tackled, I like to homeschool a week at a time. You got to chunk your time. So that's where I would tell them to start, Melanie.
That is great. I absolutely love that idea, Debra. And I wish that I would have known you and you could have told me to do that back when I started 17 years ago. Just having that space, that personal time to plan can just make such a huge difference instead of just kind of staying in the thick of things, in the craziness, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So, okay. That is a great place to start. It is what I tell new homeschoolers too, that you have to have homeschooling routines. It's just as important to, figure out how you're going to do chores and what your meal plans are as it is what lessons you're going to be doing. So that is great, great advice. In your experience working with homeschoolers, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see them making in terms of planning?
Probably overplay. We either do two of one extreme. We're very laid back and we want to be serendipitous about what we do. We want to be unschooling in our approach. And so we don't plan. We don't plan for interruptions. We don't plan for the baby. We skip these huge challenges that we have in establishing a homeschool routine. And so the kids don't really know what's going on. And mom is stressed over not having some measurable goals. So either we underplan or then we overplan. We get very rigid and very strict and we miss the opportunities of teachable moments. And then we feel very stressed out because we feel like we're not keeping up. It's sort of like an exercise program. I mean, think about something else that you adopted successfully into your lifestyle, whether it's diet or exercise or spiritual disciplines like quiet times. Homeschooling is the same way. We have to set realistic expectations, and any forward progress has to be celebrated. And when we fall short, that's not something to get hung up on. We need to look at what we've accomplished. So practically, that's what I would say, Melanie.
Yeah, that is very good. And I've definitely fallen into the trap of overscheduling too, where, I have in detail my entire year planned out. And it took me hours and hours and hours to plan all of this out. And then one thing doesn't go as planned. And I feel like my whole plan is ruined and my planner is even ruined.
Another thing I want to say about homeschooling and planning I think is important is we are homeschooling kids who are developing. And there's no way that we can really foresee what our children's needs are going to be over the course of the school year and how their development, their cognitive growth is going to emerge, where their struggles are going to be. So we want to plan. But I believe in child-centered homeschooling, where we're always looking at our kid and asking the Lord, inviting the Lord to be really at the crux of our homeschool planning. So on that Sunday afternoon, I pray about each one of my children. And that's why I only planned out maybe a week or a month at a time, because I was always bringing in new evidence about what is this child's need? Where's this child succeeding? Where does this child need more challenge? It is always an organic process. And we can't, so often we get very uptight when our kids aren't following the plan. Our plan is, is just a guideline and a support. The kid is central to why we're planning.
Right. And, the reason I laughed is because one of my now really, really good friends, the first day I met her, she was a brand new homeschooler and she was so frustrated because her son was not following her plan, her carefully developed plan. Yeah. And, isn't that what separates homeschooling from traditional schooling? That we get to adjust the plan to each of our children. It's not set in stone and we're going to carry on whether our child can keep up or not. So I love that. Okay. So Debra, I am a huge fan of your Ultimate Homeschool Planner. Can you tell me, straight from the author and the creator, can you tell me why you created it the way that you did? Okay, first of all, this thing has a plastic cover, ladies. And I can guess why you created it that way or requested that it would be made that way. But can you tell me why? Why does it have a plastic cover instead of a paper one?
Well, the planner goes with you everywhere. So it's got to be built to take a beating. And that's my brain. That's how I viewed my planner, was my brain, and it freed me up to respond to what else was happening because I had worked on that. But I'll tell you where that came out of. This was the brainchild, really, of my editor at Apologia, Zan Tyler. This is the organizational system I did follow with my kids. So I love that Zan came to me with an idea that allowed me to take the way that I structured my homeschool over the years, and that I had proven, that was tested in our own homeschool family with 4 kids, and I was able to produce a planner for moms along those lines. So as I talked about, that every Sunday afternoon, I went to the library for a couple hours. Maybe that's not when other moms can take a break, but I encourage this weekly planning, then a monthly planning day. And then in the summer, I had a planning retreat. And I accomplished, I had a number of things, like spiritually, I interviewed my kids before I went on the planning retreat. What did you like about school this year? What didn't you like? Prayed about what God was doing. And I used the planning retreat to write down these goals for the year. So you can see all that's illustrated in. So basically what Apologia allowed me to do was trying to take all these pieces that were a part of my homeschool years and beautifully rendered them. I never had a planner like this.
No.
I just had a little notebook with, and I used a 3-hole punched paper that I was using to keep all my notes. This is so much more organized. And another thing that's in there, Melanie, that I think is unique about this planner is every week we ask mom to recount evidence of God's faithfulness. Like, I want moms, and then through mom, their families, to see homeschooling is really a testimony to God's goodness to us. So every day, every week during that break, what happened this week that's evidence of God's grace? What were the signs of progress and encouragement? We as homeschool moms, we are always very conscious of where we're falling short, where we think our kids are not keeping up or making the grade. And we are blinded to what God's really doing. And so I think this weekly recounting and of God's faithfulness helps us to have a God-centered program. And now you have a treasured keepsake. At the end of each year, you can go back and read through this with your kids. What did God do? How did he show up this year? And I think it becomes critical to our own kids then understanding and experiencing God's faithfulness and care. And it takes the pressure off the kids and mom to be performing. And it puts a lot more of our focus on what God's doing.
I love that. And, as Debra is speaking, I wanted to just point out what she means by this section. It says this week's memorable moments, and then also achievements. And then underneath it says family funnies. I cannot tell you how many funny things that have happened in my home or that my kids have said, how many of them have been lost because I write them down. And this will prompt you every week to write these down. And so it is a treasured keepsake. This planner, ladies, if you spill coffee on it, you can wipe it off. It's just amazing. You are going to be able to hang on to this for years. And then underneath, I didn't even finish. So family funnies, victories, progress, promising signs, small beginnings. So I kind of feel like Debra is just speaking right to our hearts with this and reminding us, don't just look at the things that are not going well, but look at the small evidences of progress. I love that. And then projects that you finished. We all do finish some projects. And then at the bottom here, she has evidences of grace. God's mercy, God's faithfulness, God's protection, God's provision, because as homeschoolers, it isn't just about the academics. It's about what God is doing in our families and in our lives. I love this, Debra. And I want to talk, since we're talking about kind of the end of the week and how we assess ourselves in our planner. Can you talk about the beginning of the week? Because you ask us to do some planning at the beginning of each week. And so that's what these pages are all about. Can you tell us about that?
Well, first of all, I do like to have moms take some time apart to seek the Lord. I wanted to build it into our natural homeschool rhythm. So at the beginning of the week, we provide you with a devotional or a Bible verse to meditate on. And then we ask you to consider what your Bible reading plan is for that week. Consider those areas where we are tempted or where we're weak and we want to strengthen our Christian character, our Christian responses. I mean, homeschooling is not going to bring out the best in us moms. It's actually going to give us a reality check. I mean, homeschooling is the pressure cooker. I like to say God was homeschooling me. God has as much in homeschool, the call to homeschool for kids, as he does for the moms and the dads. But for me, it was really a crucible for God to forge Christ-like character in me. So what I mean by a battle plan on this page is like, what are my fighter verses going to be? I mean, if John Piper is a preacher who I admire, who always encouraged his listeners to have these verses at the ready for when temptation came. So write down those scripture verses that are the promises of God that we're going to grab. I know for me, I was tempted to anger. That was a character weakness, a besetting sin that God really brought to the forefront in homeschooling. And I just needed to have those verses ready to remind myself of the redemption of Christ, and that I was taking off anger and putting on gentleness and kindness and meekness. And so also to write out any hospitality plans that we might have for the week, just to kind of encapsulate our homeschool. Like, it needs to be set within our Christian life, within our Christian world. It's not like homeschooling should become the center of our family life. It's one aspect of our family life. And again, homeschooling and the academics could overwhelm me and overwhelm everything in my life. I would think that's all that matters. I hope taking this time at the beginning of the week helps us, as it did me, to recenter and reprioritize.
Absolutely. And, one of the other things that I love, and this is not just a planner, ladies, this is really a planning system. The whole approach is explained to you with lots of great examples. And as Debra has mentioned, it is just gorgeous. It's just beautiful. It's so much prettier than anything that you or I could just create on our own. But, under the battle plan, what I really have been working on in my own family and in my own life is anticipating obstacles that are going to be coming up in the coming week. Maybe you have a particularly busy and stressful week coming up. And so under this battle plan section, you can write those things down. Okay, we're going to be really, really busy with field trips and co-ops. And my temptation is going to be to get angry if we're running late, if the kids aren't organized. So here's what I can do to anticipate that and prevent that from becoming a problem. And then, I'm going to have my fighter verse there. I love that. Have my scripture there at the ready to meditate on, can completely repeat it to myself, and even have my kids memorizing it with me to just really help us stay the course. So this is just amazing. Okay, so Debra, I have to ask you about this because this is just really a big, big thing for me, even as a 17-year homeschooling veteran. I love that you recommend that we on Mondays have a time with our students individually. Can you talk about what that looks like?
My kids love this. I like to pretend that our homeschool was like a business and I was the chief executive, and we had Monday morning tutorials where each of my 4 children got at least 20 minutes with me individually, in which I met with them and I talked with each one about I asked them questions. So I think ownership is a really important part of kids being motivated in homeschooling. And so all kinds of things that I thought we did wrong in the public schools when I was classroom teacher, I got the opportunity to kind of reinvent and test my theories with my own children. So motivation is critical. So these Monday morning tutorials, I would ask each one of my kids, what are your goals for the week? What are you planning to do? So you have to do, and the autonomy depended on the child's age. But let's say even with an upper elementary school kid, a 10, 11-year-old, okay, you have to do so much math this week. When are you going to do your math? How much math are you going to do? I let them to have some opportunity to manage their time, and they would record it in their little planner, which I think you're going to hold up probably.
I am.
Okay, so they would record their goals. I'd say, what are you writing? My focus was a writing intensive program. So it's like, what are you working on? When do you need to go to the library? What projects do you have? What help do you need from me? Mm-hmm. Because I would make them schedule appointments with me. And I can't imagine how you do it, Melanie, with 6 or 7 kids. I had 4. It was sort of like my whole day would get out of whack because kids, understandably were coming at me from left and right. Mom, I need you here. Mom, I need you here. So then I made them schedule and anticipate their own needs if they needed help with math. When are we going to do that? We'll do that in the afternoon. Well, the baby's taking her nap, all of that. Mm-hmm. So and then Monday morning we have this tutorial, then they're off and set to go. And then Friday, what do I need to approve? What do we need to push into next week? Because we're still not quite finished with it. And you know what? That might sound like a lot to add to a homeschool schedule, but that really freed me up during the week because my kids had a lot of direction for the week.
Mm-hmm. Right. I just love it. And the ultimate homeschool planner, and I'll hold this one up. So there are other covers. Okay. Mm-hmm. So here's the orange topped cover, just as lovely. There is also the blue cover, which I want to show you. Very, very pretty and colorful as well. But the whole system is designed to work, especially for your older students, to have their own student planner. And then when you meet with your students on Mondays or whatever day works for you, but then you can transfer what you have planned for your student, have them transfer it to their own planner. I love that. And then, and there is a teen version as well, which I don't have. And I am going to be getting with the amazing sale that is available just for you, just for my readers and listeners. Sanity code. You just use Sanity and save 25% off. Huge. That is a huge sale. So I hope you'll take advantage of it. The teen planner has little circles divided into 4 quarters so that kids can keep track of how much time they are spending on things, which I think is great. Teaching them that time management to be accountable. And I'm definitely going to be using this with my teen, one of them anyway.
One of my goals is to raise an independent learner. And that's where this system, that was always one of my themes. Like, I want to raise independent learners, kids who are self-motivated. And that's where these planners came from, Melanie. I think time management is the first place to start. And the little circle in the teen planner that is divided into quarters is because in a lot of states, kids have to count hours for high school credit. So yes. That was another way that, again, instead of me, mom, doing all of this accounting and all of this administration work, I was like, okay, how can I push this off onto my kids where it properly belongs? Because I always said it's not my job to teach, it's your job to learn. And so I didn't want to have, like, my kids were homeschooling. I wasn't homeschooling them. It was like, it was their responsibility. I wanted them to grow in that understanding. And I think this planning system, I hope, helps families facilitate that. It's a tool.
I completely agree. I mean, that is definitely my goal as well. And I just love this. And I especially love, because this is the piece that I was really missing, Debra, until I was reading in your planner. Like I said, this planner, the Ultimate Homeschool Planner, it's not just a planner that you can buy from a number of different people. It's really a system and an approach from a veteran homeschooler who has been successful. And she's a psychologist just like I am. So I can tell that I just love the way she thinks. But what I love about it is that you not only meet with your child on Mondays to establish what their goals for the week are, but then you meet with them on Friday to review how they've done. Okay, that is where I have dropped the ball. And this year, that's going to change. I'm going to be meeting with my students to review what have you done. And then, okay, Debra, I just have to say this too. And some of the ladies have been commenting on how they love that this is a God-centered planner. Mm-hmm. It absolutely is. It is all through this. So you encourage us to pray with our kids every week. I love that. To pray about the tasks that they have ahead of them, the challenges that they have ahead of them, the habits that they need to be working on. I am just so appreciative and impressed by this planning system. Okay, so do you have questions for Debra? We have just 4 minutes left that we're going to be able to keep this lovely lady. So what questions do you have about planning or about the planners themselves? Remember, comment, share this video, share the broadcast right from Facebook by tagging someone, or comment and tell me that you've shared it. You can hardly stand it. That is what Selena said. She can hardly stand it. A planner that starts off with God. That is the whole foundation of this planner, is to meet with God and ask him about his goals for your family. You're to meet with your spouse if you're married to talk about your family goals and how it all fits together. I love this. Where can you find the planner again? You know what? That is the biggest mistake that I have made in this broadcast. Go to apologia.com. Can someone write that in the comments for that lovely lady? Thank you for sharing. It is an amazing planner. And I've had several people comment, Debra, that they use it. And one really important thing to know about this planner, it is undated. If you are a year-round homeschooler, you can buy this right now and start using it. There are no dates in here, so it's so flexible. And speaking of flexibility, it doesn't matter what kind of homeschooler you are, because this is what the planning grids look like. You can put kids on one side, you can put subjects on the other, you can do days of the week. You can use this however works best for you and your family. You can tell that Debra knows homeschoolers. What is the code again? The code is sanity. When you are checking out, just put the word sanity in as your coupon code. The blue one is different inside. Is that true, Debra?
Yes. There's two different editions. And so the yellow and orange have the same quotes and scripture verses. And the blue one is another edition that has different quotes and scripture verse.
Okay. But otherwise, it's essentially the same, correct?
All of the organizing systems are still the same. We just wanted to mix it up with some new devotional materials. And so, yeah, we hope to be updating in the future. This has been so well received, Melanie. I just have to put a shout out to my good friends at Apologia, and especially Zan Tyler, who really, this was her brainchild. She came to me and said, Deb, do you want to do a planner? And we got together. She thought of that page right there that you're holding up, Melanie. We worked on that page, the Lord's Day, for so long, because Zan really observes the Sabbath, and her heart for homeschool moms is like none other that I've encountered. And so we labored over that. We prayed over that. So this is as much Zan's vision as mine. And we both, homeschooled our kids all the way through. And we carry homeschool moms on our heart, and we really love you ladies. And I just feel like God has really made this into something so much greater than we could ever hope or imagine. And he really has given us a lot of great ideas to make it work for a lot of different homeschool families. And even if you don't use my planner, I think just looking at it will help you think of ways you can bring the Lord into your homeschooling in a very practical way, where you're more aware of what he's doing than our own failures.
Oh, that is so great. And I can testify to the truth of that. The people at Apologia, I have been so blessed to meet and work with. They are so generous. in every way, and they are authentic Christians who truly do care about us. They want to know what our needs are and how they can help. They are just amazing, and I'm so thankful for each of them. Definitely thankful for you, Debra, for taking the time to visit with me today. There are some people asking, what was I holding up? This is the Ultimate Homeschool Planner. It's only different. This blue version is only different in the scriptures that it has, and it just has a different color cover. But otherwise, it's essentially the same. And people are saying how much they love you, and they love Zan, and they love the people at Apologia. Thank you so much, and let's share this incredible resource that you can pick up at apologia.com. You can save 25% off with code SANITY. 3 of you are going to win one of these amazing planners, and Apologia has incredible resources. So while you are at it, like the Apologia Facebook page. I will be adding that in and tagging it in when we are done today. Thank you so much for joining us. Please come back next Tuesday to find out if you won and to hear about another incredible Apologia resource that you are going to want to add to your collection. Thanks so much, and have a great rest of your Thursday.